What is going on, y'all? This is John with Facemask Fantasy, bringing you new fantasy content every day right here on this channel. So if you have not hit that subscribe button, please do. But without further ado, let's get into some fantasy talk. And today we're going to talk Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receivers. Because after yesterday's game, I really think we need to reevaluate the hierarchy of the wide receiver core moving forward. Antonio Brown caught 5 of 7 targets for 121 yards and a touchdown. Mike Evans caught 3 of 6 targets for 24 scoreless yards, and Chris Godwin caught 9 of 14 targets for 105 yards and a touchdown. For the majority of the first half, it looked like the AB and Godwin show, specifically Antonio Brown. This after the Bucs head coach Bruce Arians came out and said Antonio Brown is playing at a speed I saw 4 or 5 years ago. That's a quote. Arians added that Brown is, and I quote, the healthiest he's been in years headed into the regular season, end quote. Antonio Brown is 33, and he struggled through a variety of injuries in recent years, off-field issues, and he just had knee surgery this past offseason. But he looks like his old self out there. 121 yards and a touchdown sounds like an Antonio Brown of old stat line. And just based off of what happened last game, it has me wondering, is Antonio Brown or Chris Godwin the true number 1 in this offense over Mike Evans? And is Mike Evans the number 3 here? Godwin clearly led the target battle in this one. He had 14 targets. And Rob Gronkowski had 8 himself. And Brown, despite the crazy stat line, he came in 3rd here in targets. He only had 7. But looking at what happened in this game, I do think he will be the most consistent option week to week. I think there will be weeks where it's Evans, Gronk, and AB. I think there will be weeks where it's Godwin, Gronk, and AB like this past week. But I think this role that AB provides, the elite receiver that will seldom see the number 1 or even sometimes the number 2 cornerback in coverage for large swaths of the game, due to this depth chart in Tampa Bay just being crazy deep, I think he will always provide an outlet for Tom Brady, who is always on the lookout for one-on-one coverage. That's the biggest thing. He doesn't lock onto wide receivers like we experienced with Jameis Winston in the past, which is where a lot of Mike Evans' early career success came from. Let's be real. Tom Brady finds the open guy, and AB gets open at will against these cornerback 2s and cornerback 3s that he's going up against. And by the end of the year, he very well may be the most fantasy relevant option of the 3. Now, based on last year and the final 8 weeks of the season, which were the games that Evans, Godwin, Gronk, and Brown played together, Brown had 61 targets, Godwin had 55, Evans had 63, and Gronkowski had 37. For those panicking about Mike Evans' usage in yesterday's game, don't. Last year, Evans opened the year with 1 reception on 4 targets. It just so happened that it was a touchdown, so that helped out fantasy owners. But with some expected touchdown regression that was coming in the wake of the reemergence of Gronk and AB, games like yesterday were to be expected. That's what you signed up for when you signed up for having Mike Evans on your team. But if you're asking me, out of the 3, who I'd rather have in season-long leagues, I think it goes Brown, Godwin, Evans, which is kind of crazy considering we're all were probably drafted. The ADP is probably the backwards of where my rankings are after this week 1 game. I think all still finish as high-end wide receiver 2s at worst, and someone here will have wide receiver 1 value, if not 2. With the week-to-week swings we've seen from this team, alternating between Godwin weeks and Evans weeks, Brown has been the constant since entering the lineup. He's provided 7 boom weeks out of 12 total weeks that he's played with the Bucs, including yesterday's game and including the playoffs last season, and 4 of the 5 bust weeks came in the first 5 games back before he knew the offense, had time to mesh with Brady and the other wide receivers, and had his game legs underneath him. The other non-boom week was a week in which he got injured during the playoffs, so I don't put much stock into that one either. My bold prediction is he is their wide receiver 1. Just like Edelman and Welker were unconventional wide receiver 1s for Brady for much of his career, I think Godwin and Evans will provide boom-bust wide receiver 2 value all year with wide receiver 1 upside weekly, depending on who the guy is that week. And it's anybody's guess as to who that will be. Everybody knows that Mike Evans has had 1,000 yards every season he's been in the league, and I don't think that's stopping. I think the touchdown value that he saw last season is going to go down more than we thought with the presence of Gronk, who has just emerged as, surprise, surprise, Brady's favorite red zone weapon. I still think Evans finishes with his 1,000 yards, but I think he's closer to top 24 than top 10 this season. Godwin has all the traits to be an elite wide receiver, as he's shown when he finished wide receiver 2 in 2019. That's not going anywhere either. And as a slot receiver, he's going to get a lot of targets from Brady all season. But I believe that AB is clearly the guy here. Do not look at his age as a detractor for him. Larry Fitz was wide receiver 17 at his age, wide receiver 9 at age 34, wide receiver 28 at age 35, and wide receiver 42 at age 36. Same type of wide receiver here in AB. I expect him to perform at a high level, barring injury, for at least this next season, if not for another year after the season if they keep him around after Godwin likely leaves in free agency, as he was a franchise tag this past offseason. For anybody in Dynasty, listen up. Next year, I think we might see AB brought back on the cheap for one more run with Brady and Gronk, and no Godwin, because I think he leaves in free agency. So Evans, Brown, and Gronk and Brady could be 2-year values over the next few seasons, as long as Brady sticks around and Godwin and Howard move on after 2021. So what do you guys think about my bold prediction that after week 1, AB is the wide receiver to own in this offense moving forward all season, and Godwin and Evans alternate weeks as wide receiver 2s, with the edge going to Godwin? And with Gronk stealing the majority of red zone work from Evans that kept him relevant when he wasn't getting all the targets that we wanted him to last season, but was at least getting those red zone targets. Put your thoughts in the comment section below. My name is John Alsace, and this is Facemask Fantasy, bringing you new up-to-date fantasy content every day right here on this channel. So if you have not subscribed already, please hit that button. Thank you for listening and have a great day.